Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime, where I like to tell the stories of the real cucuys and lloronas of the world. I'm Audrey, a paralegal turned stay-at-home mom who loves true crime. The cases I cover are wild, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. With all that being said, grab your hot Cheetos and let's get started on today's case. I really want to talk about the Waco massacre. You guys have requested I talk about Waco, but before I do, I feel like it would be a disservice if I don't do what I feel compelled to do in explaining what the Millerites, Ellen G. White, and the Seventh-day Adventist religion is all about. 20 years before the American Civil War, William Miller was a farmer in upstate New York who claimed to have been given the prophecy from God saying that the world would end on October 22nd of 1844. The group of William's followers dubbed themselves the Millerites, and the end of the world did not occur, and that was called the Great Disappointment. This was a prequel to what would become the Seventh-day Adventist Church, whose co-founder was a woman who claimed to also receive visions from God. As I've mentioned before, if anyone ever tells me today that they have visions or hears voices, I would question their mental sanity. The Millerites were known for doing camp meetings, which was a critical vessel for them in spreading the good word before the age of social media and technology as we know today. During one of the Millerite movement's famous camp meetings in 1840, 12-year-old Ellen Gold White and her family became a part of their congregation. The White family were devout Methodists, and when they became Millerites, they were subsequently disfellowshipped, aka kicked out of their Methodist church they belonged to, except for Ellen's twin sister Elizabeth, who was the only one in her family who remained a Methodist. At one of the camp meetings, 14-year-old Ellen met James Springer White. Ellen told James about her visions, and they started traveling together to spread awareness of her gift. After the Great Disappointment, James probably saw this as a sign from God that the Millerites were not totally wrong. Maybe that needed to happen in order for him to meet this prophetess. Rumors of Ellen and William's sleeping arrangements during their travels started to spread, and they were soon married on August 30th of 1846. They had 4 sons together: Henry, James, Williams, and John. 2 of them sadly passed away in childhood. Ellen White's husband's room was separate from hers, and compared to her extravagant room, his was small. Ellen White would leave her children in the care of acquaintances for extended periods of time. A lot of articles say that the Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarian, which is a myth and a generalization. While this religion is pro-vegetarianism, Loma Linda in particular is known to have popular meat substitutes, but we won't go there today. The Seventh-day Adventists are allowed to eat certain meats are not allowed to eat certain meats like pork and certain seafoods as per Leviticus 11, which I think is funny because both Ellen G. White and I share the fact that we used to sneak oysters when no one was looking. And perhaps we also have alcoholism in common, as she admittedly had a vice for apple cider vinegar. Ellen believed we all have a certain amount of energy in this lifetime and should conserve it and use it wisely. She believed stimulants like caffeine and alcohol were sinful. She had a dream about 2 buildings falling to the ground, and many believe that that meant she predicted or God gave her the prophecy of 9/11. While Ellen White did not pursue a college education, she did read a lot and had a collection of books and even a library in her home that remained under lock and key. It is said that she had books on the occult. Perhaps the major street cred Ellen G. White has is that Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, as in the cereal, was her patient, and she hired him to work for her organized religion. Dr. Kellogg was a member of the SDA Church, and both Ellen and Dr. Kellogg have published books that frown upon masturbation. Ellen went as far as suggesting parents tie their children's hands to the bed in order to prevent it, which is rich coming from someone who from various accounts delegated the actual raising of her own children. In one of her books, Ellen writes, and I quote, "Wicked, naughty children God does not love," unquote. And speaking of children, the Pathfinders is the SDA's version of a co-ed Boy Scouts. The Pathfinders are taught survival skills for the end of times. The SDAs, through Ellen's visions and their interpretations of the Bible, say that in the apocalypse, the government would start to persecute God's believers. As such, we should all be prepared to run into the woods and be ready to survive, hence the creation of the Pathfinders. I myself was a member of the Pathfinders, and I loved it. It was very fun. I'll never forget all the cool fun knots that I'll never use, but also anything outside of the abusive home I was raised in was fun. We've reached the end of today's episode of Bay Area Housewife of True Crime. Thank you so much for coming down the rabbit hole where I currently live. Stay tuned for the next episode of where I'll get into the Waco massacre. As always, I respect and accept your opinions. I welcome all comments, questions, case suggestions, etc. Hit me up at yayareahousewife@gmail.com or in the comments. I'll see you chismosas y chismosos in the next. Adios.